real in life.
Yeah. Let's see. A lot of questions about Coinbase. Yeah, well, I'll let you guys chime in if you want, but I mean, the shorter answer is we speak with these guys we know fairly well, and we if there's something we can announce, we will, but we don't like to step out of turn with potential partners, and can't really say much until we're allowed to say it. So it's not really telling you a whole lot, but all this to say is we love to have something announced, and when we're allowed to say things publicly, we will.
Right. I also saw one question about Elite Booster on June 26th. Are we going to see increased jobs, right, on Elite Booster? So the concept is a slight difference. So because the edge cloud currently running those containerized jobs, right, in the GPU machines, right, not necessarily on the user computer yet, right? In the future, we'll extend to that, so that the way we reward a user will be slightly different. So we'll update the UI. So then if you download a new version of the edge node, you will see the UI which shows, for example, your accumulated earning for Elite Booster, right? Pending earning for this month, right? It will keep increasing until at the end of the month it will be pay off, right? It will be reset to 0 and start recurring again for next month. And then we also add a few other UI changes so that you can see more kind of statistics, right, about what's going on in the edge cloud.
So if users ask about T-drop use cases, so that's actually what we saw on Twitter too that we wanted to address. If you hadn't seen, we're excited to see that Open Theta is integrating T-drop soon. They, in their last white paper that they released a few weeks ago, they're adding it as an incentive. Basically, if you have T-drop, then you can stake it alongside their own native token they're creating. And that gives you voting rights on how Open Theta operates for various things. And also, I think, access to certain drops as well. So that's really exciting. We're talking to some other platforms as well to have T-drop almost serve like the liquidity mining or incentive token for any type of exchange platform. It doesn't just have to be Theta Drop, the platform Theta Drop. And so that's something that I've been working on and talking to several platforms about, basically like allocating T-drop and giving that same flywheel to encourage users to trade or to use their platform, whatever it is for the use case for different platforms. But yeah, long way of saying we are working on expanding use cases for T-drop for sure.
Yeah, I also saw this question: does the Edge Elite Booster reward, right, goes back to the original staking wallet, or it is to the Elite Edge node itself? So I think that our current design is that the reward will go back to the wallet you stake your TFU from, right? You stake your TFU and lock your TFU from the staking wallet, then you will receive a reward in that wallet.
A related question: how much TFL do you need to stake? Again, just trying to be really clear, right? To participate in the Elite Booster, you have to stake the full 500,000 TFL to your Elite, and then you can stake you can lock an additional 500,000 beyond that for a total of 1 million. Great.
Shall we go back?
Yeah, should we go back to some of the questions submitted beforehand?
Yeah, and we can jump back as well. Give some time if we have extra time to jump back into user questions. But a few others I pulled out. Well, since we're just talking about T-drop, so someone asked, so some TNT20 tokens are starting to get on centralized exchanges, but native TNT20 T-drop is stuck on decentralized exchanges only that require some expert knowledge to provide. So that is true that DEXs tend to be a little more complicated if you're not a big crypto user. Pretty easy once you try it a few times, but still, yeah, that could be a learning curve versus a centralized exchange. T-Drop is actually on Gate and BitThumb. BitThumb only for Korean users, but Gate accessible pretty much anywhere. Might possibly not the US. And we are talking to other exchanges about TNT20 access as well. You may have noticed a few listed on other centralized exchanges like Bexy recently. That always makes it very easy to list additional TNT20 tokens because then there's no technical integration really. It's just it's a pretty quick leap from there. So that's great. Every time you see a TNT20 token on a new centralized exchange, it means it's much easier for more to come after that. So that's great to see. We are also working on some upgrades for Theta Swap to improve liquidity. Basically on the back end, some of the code is based on, now there's been more innovation in how liquidity providers can provide to automated market maker DEXs, like Theta Swap or Uniswap, or many you're probably familiar with. We can do more to make it, for a given amount of liquidity, it will provide, given amount of assets in the liquidity pool, provide more liquidity and less slippage for any amount of trade. So really improve the user experience and your trade execution. So that's going to help on the DEX side, but if you want to stick to centralized exchanges, those are going to be getting better and better now that you see more TNT20 tokens come in there.
Good. I think we'll have another question. Data drop again is related to the June 26 booster. After the initial 500,000 TFL, can you stake in 10,000 TFL steps or increments, or are there different rules? And so the short answer to that, and Jay, you correct me if I'm wrong, there is no minimum required. So you can stake an additional 1 TFL if you wanted to, and lock that up for 3, 6, or 12 months, or you can, you can lock an additional 5. So anywhere between 1 to 500,000 TFL.
Yeah, right. And then the locking will be managed by a smart contract, right? So you're not sending the tissue to us, but it will be on chain, everything.
Correct. So there'll be a smart contract on chain that you can monitor at any point in time, and the smart contract itself will enforce the locking mechanism. So when it becomes unlocked, then just like other forms of staking, there is a cooldown period, which depends. It's a certain number of blocks, but probably within a few days.
Yeah. Cool. So I saw the next one is a technical question. Is there an optimal NVIDIA driver, right? And does it even matter? So for that, I think the simple answer is that we're always trying to install, we always recommend to install the latest version of the drivers, right? And then with a CUDA enable, right? So that we'll prepare the machine for us to run those jobs that will potentially need to utilize the GPU processing power. Yep. That's good. Next question. So can the team tell more about the specs, right, of the edge node? How about, for example, how the GPU, the RAM size, the hard drive space for edge node, for example? Yeah, I think so. As I alluded to earlier, so community node will be our focus for phase 3, right? Which will come hopefully in a few months, right? Later in the year or coming into next year. So by then, as we get closer, we will release the exact spec, right, on our main page, documentation page. And then you can get the exact spec from there. You get closer. Yep. So
perfect. And then of course there's GPU, high-end GPU levels, which are, typically data center, type of GPUs that you can certainly, all right, I know that you can outright purchase a rig or build your own with a A100 or B100 or something like that. So that's certainly possible. And all that, of course, becomes part of the network, right? And we'll recognize that as that having much more processing power, right? Than even a GPU, a 4090 GPU. Although we do see the 4090s, the 4080s and 4090s as being very, very capable from an AI inference standpoint, being able to serve these models, particularly the text to image, certain chatbots and certain other types of models, and of course, as we continue to develop the technology, going back again to the pipeline, AI pipeline, is that potentially some parts of the pipeline could be in a hybrid mode, right? Let's say that if you have, one model which is highly GPU intensive, such as let's say 2.5 to 3D, that be done within the cloud environment, whereas the initial step of generating that text to 2.5D, that could be done through our edge node. So that's kind of our vision, right? Sort of this very hybrid model where it's constantly optimizing price to performance, right? And that's how our vision eventually will outcompete, right? And customers will see that. Maybe we can take some more community questions. I think unless there's some more from Twitter.
Yeah, just one quick one we did pass, but pretty important. A user asked on Twitter about the status of Ledger. Just in case anyone missed it, check our tweet from, I believe it's April 17, around that time. But short answer is that we're working directly with Ledger team. This issue is about that Theta uses blind signing for their Ledger integration, and they announced a few months back, Ledger did, that they're phasing that out in June of this year. So we've been talking to their team directly for months and working on a solution. Turns out, in the end, they will not actually phase out blind signing immediately in June. So it's not going to change anything how you access on Theta Web Wallet with a Ledger for now. And we're collaborating with them on a new version entirely that's going to make it a better user experience. And we're hoping to have that out in the fall. But they assured us that there won't be any time where Theta users lose access to Theta assets on the Ledger. So they have it under control.
All right. Another community question on Theta Drop. Oh, someone is asking whether these are my spelling bee awards that I got, up on the wall here. I wish, when I was back in school, I was stuck pretty bad in spelling. So, no, those are actually our patents.
Right.
I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah, I think it kind of spans beyond this edge over here. So we still have another three more walls around us that we can.
As we continue, so hopefully we can fill this conference room with patterns. So we don't need a painter or something. We don't need to decorate our room. So
there you go.
Just with all the patents.
There you go. Again, like we've always said in the past, these patents are just very strategic for us from the standpoint of working and collaborating with some of these strategic partners. It really underlies a lot of the technical capabilities, right? It's almost like a checkbox. Oh, you guys know what you're talking about from a technical standpoint, and then you have the protection, right? In developing something that's unique. And also related to that, Jie, today you tweeted about a very technical white paper which was submitted and
it got accepted by a top tier conference. I emphasize that the conference is very kind of premier forum, right, for the researcher for future direction of the World Wide Web, right. So historically, there's a lot of very important research finding was published on this conference. In particular, the PageRank algorithm, which by Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the Google founders, right? So they originally published their paper on this conference back in 1999, right? So it's like 25 years ago. Right, which lays down the foundation for Google search engine, right? So we're pretty honored to be able to get accepted into this conference. I think one of the students in Professor Xiao's lab is actually currently in Singapore, right, attending this conference and doing presentation there. So as we continue, then we will continue to push the boundary in AI, in Web3, in blockchain, right, and then do even deeper research, right, to build our core technology. Our tech stack here. Right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very important for us from our R&D perspective. But as you guys have probably already seen, we've always sort of come from the industry, and we're really good at taking these very forward-facing R&D projects and bringing them to market, and putting a go-to-market plan in place. So that's what our plan continues.
Yeah. So this Sketch 3D is an example, right? So Yeah, to my knowledge, it's probably the first this such kind of demo or showcase in the world. So I haven't seen similar things elsewhere from the sketch to the 3D.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get that up on the AI showcase next few weeks, and then you guys can all play with that as well. So very exciting.
Yep.
We have a question regarding whether we're able to integrate this into Midjourney or is it just Stable Diffusion. Well, as you guys might know, Stable Diffusion is open source, and that's where we're able to not just take the base Stable Diffusion model, but they have many different versions, what's called checkpoints. Our snapshots to Stable Diffusion, we're able to incorporate that into the Edge Cloud. Midjourney is a proprietary model. So they control everything. They run it on their end, and whatever prompts or whatever it is you submit, that goes to their servers, right? So the short answer is that they're not open source, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a potential partner.
Yeah, and also the open source community is really active, right? They're constantly doing research and then doing, fine tuning of the model so that to improve the generation result, right? So maybe, as time goes by, the gap between those open source model and closed model will be narrower, right? It will shrink at some point that maybe the quality generated by our AI showcase, by our Edge Cloud platform will be able to catch up and then, on par with whatever generated by Midjourney or Imagine, as closed source of the world.
Wes, who's your favorite guitarist? I'll just answer that quickly. Probably for nostalgia reasons, Kirk Hammett growing up. That's kind of where I first learned a few riffs and licks. So got to go with that.
Another question, any new subchains coming up, they be utilizing the Edge Cloud. And I think that's a really great question. I think the community and, being the bull market that we are in, sometimes we lose sight of that. But if you zoom out, you always, see the pattern. That's what I do. So I don't have to be looking at the charts, every hour, every day. But if you look at every few weeks, you'll see that I think it was improving a little bit this morning. I haven't looked today. I think, but the point is that with our community and going to the bull market, always partners that are developing, looking to launch additional subchains. So we're really excited about that. And we're also seeing not just subchains within the media, entertainment, gaming space, but in various other verticals, which hasn't been announced yet. In all cases, Edge Cloud is a big part of that equation. I think that's one of the things that really separates and differentiates us from other, layer one chains out there, is the fact that not only do you have the building blocks and infrastructure to build your own token and your crypto ecosystem, but also the utility part, right? Being able to utilize our Edge Cloud and utilize our video infrastructure and our AI infrastructure, rendering infrastructure for their business. And I think that's where really becomes a really strong win-win for us. You guys rock. Yeah. Love you guys too. Yeah, we definitely need to do this AMA. It's been too long. I know the last one we did was at ThedaCon, and hopefully we'll do this a little bit more often. Although there is, just a reminder, there is a ThedaCon Europe coming up in Prague, which I will be there in June. So for those of you that's on the fence, come on out. Let's grab a drink. Let's talk. And of course, I'll be in Vegas at the end of the year as well. And probably with most of the team, right? Because it's really just around the corner for us. Looking forward to meeting you guys there.
Yeah. For those of you who have attended TheaCons before, if you don't know Resorts World, this is an amazing venue in Vegas. It's the newest casino on the Strip and probably the best one. So yeah, get your tickets. It's going to be definitely the best TheaCon yet.
Well, that's a question. Will JE make it to the first TheaCon in person? Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a surprise, huh? You're going to parachute in one of these times?
Wow. I wish I could. Yeah, I'll try to see, if I can make it this time, really looking forward to see, the community in person, right? Discussing what's the next step, what you can build on EdgeCloud and all that.
Perfect. JE will definitely have 4 bodyguards around them, because without JE, we wouldn't have much, much here.
Let's see. Visifield Talk replay. They've. I hope I'm not spoiling something that they haven't quite tipped off, but I think in only a few weeks they're going to start launching their first AI tools that are going to be using Edge Cloud. So big stuff coming there for more jobs for Edge Cloud, and we're really excited for them to start using the network more.
Yeah.
T-Fuel as rare as GPU as well. I mean, depending on relative to the supply, it's possible T-Fuel is in even more demand. I don't know. It all depends on how many people need to use Edge Cloud and have to pay edge node providers. So yeah, it's all about adding more on the demand side and building out these awesome tooling that JE and Co make, because that's going to increase demand for the network and drive demand for the native token.
Yeah, for sure. The utilization, the usage of our platform, right, for those partners and customers that want to be paying Edge Cloud with T-Fuel. As I mentioned also at the beginning of the MA, it's just really amazing to see our elite nodes surpassing 10,000. At any given time, I think of around 12,000 active nodes. And then in aggregate, over a course of a month, we're seeing somewhere now approaching 30,000 edge nodes, which are on and off, right? So those are unique nodes over the course of a month. And those are really major milestones for us. Very exciting. The fact that the amount of T-Fuel staked and locked is approaching 40%. As that number, which I'm sure will continue to go up over the next few months as we approach 50, 60%. Unfortunately, however you look at that, it becomes a little bit more rare for our customer partners to then have to acquire that in the open market to pay for the product and our services. So, on that part, of course, we're going to have to, look at the pricing of our services relative to, eventually we do want to have a pricing model where it's much more advantageous, much more beneficial for a customer to pay in T-Fuel over fiat currency. In fact, we would love nothing but to have our fiat or US dollar, Stripe, driving 0% of all the sales. We want everything to be flowing through T-Fuel. So we're going to give a benefit for customers to do that.
Yeah. So also I would like to also challenge our developers in our community, right, to build your application on top of Edge Cloud. So if your application gets popular and attract user, then inevitably that you need more GPUs, right, in Edge Cloud. They will drive the payment, especially drive the payment in T-Fuel, right? So this will increase the utility of T-Fuel, right? So this will make T-Fuel become even more rarer. So.
There's a couple questions around Ether, our partner Ether, that we announced. As some of you may have read, Kyle Okamoto is an advisor to us for many years now, and he's an executive over at Ether. They're doing some really fantastic things. Our first partnership really involves, gaining access to Ether's infrastructure, which includes a number of GPUs, GPU farm. One of the key things that I kind of want to stress is that our vision here at Theta is not necessarily to go into the hardware or the data center side of the business. That is just, I think, too risky. Hardware has way too many variables that you have to account for. including very large startup costs, and then not being able to scale that up and down in changing environments and economies. It's very risky. So we'll never necessarily get into the hardware side of things. However, with partners like Aether, we can have access to a large supply, right, of GPUs across different regions. So that's one of the things that is very challenging for us, is optimizing for not only where the customers are, but also for where their users are globally, so that we have the best experience. So we're always looking for redundancy, as well as being able to adapt to peak usage. And again, when you have instances which are reserved all the time, it's very expensive because they're always on. So you are essentially paying for them. And yet when you do have an AMA, something like this, right, or when you do have a large scale campaign or whatnot, and you can draw 10 or 100x your usual number of users, you have to be able to account for that. And that's, again, a big part of the equation that we're trying to solve for in our price to performance ratio. Again, this is something that we don't talk about nearly as much, is the fact that when you have a decentralized network and we're able to bring that into different parts of the model pipeline and into a particular jobs that we're able to amortize, we'll be able to leverage the distributed nodes and be able to then build for that peak that peak usage. So I have there's another question on the Elite Booster. What's your estimation for CPU GPU usage? The white paper says 80 to 100%. I believe the white paper or the FAQ, or a combination of both, says it's very important. There's a word "if," right? If the GPUs are utilized 80 to 100%, then you should be able to see the APY approaching anywhere between 14 to 28%, or something in that range. Again, that depends on a number of different factors, a number of different variables. We will be launching with some initial partners, as well as powering our own AI showcase. As you guys know, we've just had an incredible amount of activity. I don't know if JE, can share any specific stats, but all of our instances which are allocated to the AI showcase, particularly the text to image, right? The Stable Diffusion is almost 100% utilized at all times, 24/7, and it's really incredible. I think we looked at a network map of where the active nodes are at any given point, and there's just these big blue blobs, blinking all over the world, and primarily concentrated in North America, Europe, UK, Australia, some parts of Asia, but it's really something.
Yeah. So try to use our AI showcase, right? It will, the more you use it, then the more utilization it is, right? And then potentially that wherever
you don't want to tell people that. Come on. Next thing you know, the whole community is going to be using our showcase all the time, and then all the lead boosters are going to be.
It's not in the sense that trying to crash our showcase, but in the sense that as you guys continue to use a showcase, you might discover some kind of more depth pattern, right? You can use it better. So this is what I saw on Twitter. A lot of people are showcasing their image generating from the showcase tool, right? And some people discovered that, hey, if I tweak my prompt a little bit, then it may be able to generate much higher quality image. And I also see hints.
Yes, our partner.
So he just posted a YouTube video and then teach user, how you can tune your prompt so that it can generate, amazing results, right? So this is something we want to see. Not just go there and blindly, typing a dog, a cat, a fish, something like that. But look into it and then see that what kind of parameter you can tune, and then how you can improve the prompt, right, to generate amazing result, right? So
for sure. I think there's a question around edge caching jobs, which is part of the the edge node today. So the edge caching and the caching functionality has now been folded into what was previously known as Theta Video API, which is now part of Edge Cloud Video, right? So anyone using our video infrastructure, right, for live stream or VOD, right, as part of Edge Cloud Video now, if you implement the Theta player, which has the peer-to-peer, the caching then occurs between the peers, and that will be folded into that. I think as part of the June 26th launch, there'll be some UI cleanup there. I think the caching section will be removed.
So I saw one comment here. You guys should share it on Twitter, right? This 2D to 3D model demo. So yeah, I think that we'll there will be a couple of things we'll share. One is one blog post, right, which will document the what actually the technology behind the scene, right? What actually when you click on those buttons, so what model are being used, and then more computation are going on the GPUs, right? We'll have that, and hopefully we'll have a recording of the demo session, so which we'll share on Twitter, right? So that you guys can watch it if you're interested.
We'll post on YouTube, and this more technical blog that we're preparing, we'll push that out tomorrow, hopefully. So we got a little bit of work after this AMA, but we'll kind of put everything that we demoed today into a blog that can be easily shared. And hopefully you all can help spread the word there.
Yep.
But once we get that up and running on the AI showcase, I think you guys can play with it yourselves, and then to send that link on to to friends, family, and industry folks. Any other questions you see there, Wes, coming from Twitter or anyone else, anywhere else?
That's data relaying for replay. So I think these jobs are already been being submitted to edge nodes. Actually, we just realized something the other day that those have been falling under the TVA umbrella. So because they had asked why their nodes weren't showing up with their own jobs, and we realized it wasn't being branded. So that's something we're checking out. But yeah, I think it's important because we've talked about this a little bit, but our vision eventually is for edge node operators to be able to have more control over which jobs that they're doing, almost like a marketplace where you're being bid for your service you're providing to the network. And that's going to be especially important when you see they may pay in T-Fuel, they may pay in other TNT20 tokens. You may want one or the other, or not want to do certain jobs. So that'll be important to have transparency about what the jobs are that's coming to your node, and then you'll be able to pick and choose which you're willing to provide your capacity to the network for.
Right. Also, I saw a few folks asking about the Edge Store, right? So yeah, I think that we should provide an update here, as mentioned in our white paper, right? So Edge Store in the context of Edge Compute, Edge Cloud, would probably take a different shape or form compared to the original KV store, right? So, for example, when you run those inference job for those large models, and for example, Stable Diffusion and others, you have to download those model, which is gigabytes size, right? 6-7 gigabytes, right? So this will need to utilize some of the storage on the user's computer, on a cloud computer, and then those will be accounted for in our final calculation about the reward, right? So you get a piece of reward for the compute, but also get a piece for the storage, right? So this will be the kind of the new format for the Edge Store.
Correct. So this is part of the last phase, what we describe as the phase 3. Where we begin to integrate the edge network, right, into the overall architecture. So when you run your own node, hypothetically, say for instance, if you're running a text to video AI model because you have a 4090, or maybe you have something even more powerful than that. Turns out that these text to video AI models are extremely large. What would you say is the size of some of these models?
Yeah, it could be 6-7 gigabytes or even larger, right, in the future, depending on, right, so.
Gigabytes, and again, like with something like Stable Diffusion, I've I've seen in GitHub and open source forums where there are many, many different versions of Stable Diffusion. I think there are at least dozens, if not hundreds and hundreds of different checkpoints and variations. And so when all those are effectively stored locally, and when your edge node is then issued a job to process, right, to serve as inference, right, for a particular version of Stable Diffusion, it would then load up that Stable Diffusion on your local GPU, right, into memory, right, from disk. But the fact that, those models have to be residing on disk before that, right, a priori, so that you have an efficient way of serving that up on a real-time basis. And so if each of these Stable Diffusion is somewhere between 5 and 10 gigabytes, you can imagine when you have 100 variations of this, and that's just text to image, right? And again, Edge Cloud is an open platform where we're going to be supporting all sorts of different types of AI models, right? As we all seen, even real-time interactions now that's been announced by everyone from OpenAI to Google, voice to voice, text to voice, voice to text, real time, all that becomes a lot of data. And that's a really big part of our vision there. Mitch, are you confident on Theta being $100 this bull run? I don't know. What do you think? Do I look like I'm confident? We certainly can't comment on price, but hopefully you can tell that we are very excited about where we're going.
Yeah. I saw someone ask a question about if Theta Labs doesn't have any data left, what incentive they have to continue to keep building. But yeah, at the rate that's going, that would be, I just did some back of the envelope math, and that would be at least 20 years, if not longer, from now. So I would say if we're in the year 2044 and data is not sustainable as a network without, us as individuals or Theta Labs, then that's probably a bigger problem. But, it's a few decades down the road. So,
yeah. And the follow-on question about T-Drop not being distributed for liquidity mining. Yeah, so we're aware that T-Drop is lagging behind. Originally, as liquidity mining, for anyone that essentially buys, the reward goes to the buyer or the seller.
So the T-Drop, right?
The T-Drop, yeah.
Right.
So in any case, I forget whether this goes to the buyer or seller, but we're lagging behind in that distribution, and that goes back to Wes's earlier point of really opening up that ecosystem. That's something that we are excited and we're looking at. So essentially, incorporating and utilizing T-Drop for ecosystem projects and partner other marketplaces, other gaming platforms, etc., so that there is additional utility. It also becomes sort of a way for us to allocate sort of ecosystem funds or tokens, right, to encourage building around Theta. There you go. Theta will be $1,000. I mean, that's exactly why I didn't want to answer the earlier question, because I knew it wasn't going to be 100.
It'll be on Theta Island by then. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the going rate on an island is, but I'm sure it's in. If you add up the whole community, I'm sure it's in our price range. Yeah.
Terrific. I think we're coming up to 2:30, close to an hour and a half. I think we're pretty close to wrapping this up. I don't know if there's last minute questions. Yes, iOS devices. Yes, that's also in our plans. A little bit trickier with Apple. As you know, Apple approves every app that goes on their platform. It's a little bit more complex. Also, the tech stack on iOS is a little bit more challenging. where all the permissions and whatnot. So that's something that we are continuing to look at.
Yeah, but I think even the Android version that would be a great learning process, right? We will be able to amass a lot of data point from there and see that whether we can port those technology to iOS, right, or build something and hopefully eventually be able to distribute it to billions of devices, right, in the future.
Are we going to make it to top 10 ranking this bull run? Why would we even be thinking about top 10? Why not just ahead of Ethereum? Will be good.
Yeah.
All right. Should we wrap it up, Wes? I think it's been great.
Yeah, this is good. Always good to spend time with the community and talk with you guys directly. Hopefully, we'll be seeing a bunch of you guys in June in Prague, and we'll have to do this again soon.
Yeah, if you're anywhere nearby and anywhere near Europe, come on by in June, and or Vegas. All right, guys. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Great. Thank you all. It's been great.
That's good.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.